I am a real estate agent in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and thanks for having me.
Awesome. So are you from Minneapolis or where are you born and raised?
I was originally born in Wisconsin, grew up there, and then moved to Minnesota for college.
Right. What's it with cheese in Wisconsin?
Say that again?
What's it with cheese in Wisconsin? Don't they have that thing about it's like the cheese state or whatever it is?
Yes, we love our cheese and we love our beer. So there's a ton of cows, and winter lasts for 7 months. So like, what else is there to do except for drink beer and eat cheese? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I watch a little bit of football and I've seen like Green Bay games and I'm like, why do they have cheese hats? That was always so weird to me.
Yeah, I don't know, dairy state, I guess.
Right, right. So how long ago did you move to Minneapolis? Like how long have you been there?
I've been here on and off. I had a couple of stints in Madrid, but for about 7 years.
Right, right. And would you call it home now?
Yeah, I think I'm staying.
Yeah. Do you try to visit Wisconsin as much as you can, or are you pretty much just in the Twin Cities?
Yeah, I still have family in my hometown, and like my grandma's in Madison and stuff like that. So I get down there once every month or two, definitely for holidays and things like that.
Right, right. Did you go to like school all in Wisconsin as well, or was that done in Minneapolis?
So I graduated high school in my hometown in Wisconsin, and then I moved to Minnesota to go to the University of Minnesota.
Oh, I see. How was that experience?
It was good. I mean, it was awesome because it was still close enough to drive. I'm about 6 hours drive from home, but still far enough away that I didn't have, my mom right around the corner or anything like that. And I didn't know anyone else from my high school who went here. So it was definitely a new experience, putting me out of my comfort zone, but I loved it a lot. And I actually really love Minnesota. So that's why I came back.
Yeah, that's great. I think a lot of the times, especially because our office is in Edmonton, Alberta, which is in Canada, and our head office is in Seattle, like Draw It Paint. But I know that in Canada, it's a little bit more rare for kids to actually go somewhere else for university. Now you'll usually stay in your hometown unless you're, from like a smaller town, I guess, then you'll go to the big university within the province. But I feel like kids in the US, they have a lot of opportunities to go to these great colleges wherever it is. Did you ever think about just staying in Wisconsin, or did you always kind of want to move out of the state?
So I did. I thought about staying in Madison, which is pretty close to my hometown. It's a conference. It's called the Big Ten School. It's just a bigger university, state university system. And Madison just felt a little bit too close. And my sister went to Madison, and her and I are very similar. And we both are Spanish majors, things like that. I kind of had felt like I've been doing a lot of the things or following in her footsteps for quite some time. So I wanted to stay in the Big Ten system. I knew I wanted a big school, didn't want to be close to home. And also at the time, Minnesota and Wisconsin, they're right next to each other. They had reciprocity in terms of paying for school. So I would pay what an in-state resident would pay. That's gone now, but I got grandfathered into it at the end. So I got a pretty decent deal for going out of state.
Yeah, and I mean, in the US, it can get really expensive when you do move out of state, right?
Extremely, yeah. I'm
Um,
paying for it.
yeah, I know it's my it's like my second cousin. She wanted to move out to California to go to school at UCLA, and she's from Washington. And she was telling me about how expensive it is, and I was like, "Geez, how are you going to be able to afford that kind of thing?" Do you think that's
Crazy, yeah. I mean, you pay for it for 20 years after you're done.
mhm.
So,
Do you think that's a problem that can be fixed?
do I think it can be fixed or will be? Is it?
Do you think it could be fixed? Yeah.
I definitely think it could be fixed. I mean, there are political candidates running in 2020 who are talking about abolishing student debt and getting rid of it and having a free university system. And I think, I've done an extensive amount of traveling in Europe, and there's so many examples of it working and people thriving on a, basically community funded or public university system. And I definitely think it could be a really good option. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into at 18. I mean, I didn't know who I wanted to be, anything like that. I just chose this college because that's what I was supposed to do. And they let me sign on the dotted line to put myself $30,000 in debt, which is crazy. No 18-year-old should be given that much freedom, So Yeah, and I actually, at this point, being a realtor, I'm not using my degree. So I'm still paying for something that I'm not necessarily using. So I think giving students an option to explore themselves in the university system without putting themselves in crippling debt would be much better for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You talk about how in Europe that a lot of it is funded by the government. Um, I find that at least my friends are actually exploring those options because some of them have European Union citizenship, so they
Mm-hmm.
get theirs funded. But it kind of, it takes them away from home, and you're there for such a long period of time. It'd be nice for them to actually get to stay where they want to stay and have that same, affordable education, right?
Totally. Totally agree.
Yeah. So just bringing it back to your traveling, is that something you've always loved to do, or was it kind of something you picked up on after school, or how'd you get into it?
Yeah, so I visited my sister when she was traveling in Europe when I was a junior in high school. And when I got to Spain, I was like, oh my God, this is a whole other world that I've never seen before. I need to do more of this. And we buzzed around to different cities in Spain and things like that. And I just got a taste of it. That travel bug bit me, I guess. And so then when I was in school, I knew right away I was going to study abroad. And I fell in love with Spain then. I speak Spanish and love Spanish, and I wanted to learn more history. And that was my major. So I was like, Spain makes sense. And I went to Spain, and while I was there, I did a ton of traveling around Europe and the north of Africa. And yeah, ever since then, I try and get away, try and explore a new culture, put myself out of my comfort zone as often as I can.
Yeah. Even within the US, I can tell that you love the outdoors. Is that kind of where that passion comes from? Is just getting out of your comfort zone, or?
100%. So I love the city. It's a back and forth. So I grew up in a small town, and we had a cabin, and I love being outside and being dirty. And I also love living in the city and, getting dressed up and going downtown and doing all that fun stuff. So I feel like living in the city and having a job where I'm kind of on my game all the time, I find going out of my comfort zone, going out into the outdoors or a new city, new culture, it puts me out of my comfort zone. It makes me uncomfortable. And that's kind of where I find a lot of growth happens, is when you're, not in your typical day to day.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think you were always like that?
I think it really took hold of me when I was in college, when I studied abroad the first time, because there were a number of things that happened while I was traveling in Spain. I got my laptop stolen. I got lost in countries where I didn't speak the language and had to find my way around. And every time I would be so frustrated or upset or scared or whatever the emotion was that, you're feeling very intensely in that moment. When you overcome that and you come back to your regular day, you're like, wow, I did that. And I kind of got addicted to that feeling of discomfort. That's what I say, is I'm a discomfort addict, because it always teaches me something. So if you just sit where you're comfortable, you don't tend to grow. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Some of the previous experts that we've spoken to in the past have always talked about these trials and tribulations in their life and all these experiences that made them who they are today. And it sounds like that was one of those moments for you.
Definitely. Oh yeah. And I still keep putting myself out there. I actually just had a trip in July where I went really more outdoorsy than cultural traveling. I went to northern Wisconsin. There's this place called the Apostle Islands, and I went on a kayaking trip. And Lake Superior is pretty big, so it acts more like a sea than a lake. And I had never really done kayaking before, and so we kayaked in between islands. We cooked everything that we were eating. Everything we owned had to fit in our kayak, basically. More bugs than I've ever encountered in my life. And it was one of the most physically and pretty mentally taxing things I've done in a long time. And yeah, I love it. It's the best.
Yeah, and you say physically and mentally taxing, but I'm sure it was really rewarding at the end.
Extremely. Yeah, because every time in the moment, you're like, what did I get myself into? Can I do this? And then you're done and you're like, hell yeah, excuse my language. Yeah, I can do that, and that's super rewarding. So that's what keeps me going back for more, I think.
Absolutely. So we've covered the love for travel, the love for outdoors. What other activities do you like to do, outside of work?
So I love Minneapolis because it's got a really good food scene. I'm a big foodie, and it's a pretty small city in comparison to like Chicago, New York, et cetera. But there's a lot of good culinary crafts and cocktail craft here. So one thing I always try to do is if there's a new restaurant or there's a pop-up here, something like that, I try and make my way to new places, just learning my way through the city and the people who move through here through food.
Would you say Minneapolis is a little bit underrated?
Definitely, but don't tell anybody. I don't want it to get any bigger.
Gotcha, gotcha. Just keep it the way you like it.
Yeah, yep. This is our little hidden gem. Actually, to me, it's very similar to Madrid in that respect. Like, I don't think a lot of people go to Madrid as if you're going to Europe for the first time, you're going to go to bigger cities. You're going to go to London or Paris or something like that. And Madrid is also a smaller city, but it's just got so much culture just leading from it. And I feel the same way about Minneapolis. And I think I kind of like the medium-sized city. I actually know people here. I don't feel like I'm just, the tiniest little ant in this big whole city. But yeah, so I find that there's a lot of similarities between Madrid and Minneapolis, which I think keeps me going back to both.
Yeah, well, I can see how much they resonate for you. I mean, you're connected emotionally, physically to these two cities, and they seem to have, similar experiences for you.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now, I took a look at your Instagram bio, and it said you love food, you love drinks, as you kind of alluded to. And it also said you're a lover of everyday things. Can you tell us, what these everyday things are?
Yeah, so everyday things is, I would say, like a deep conversation with a stranger that by the end of your conversation, they become a friend, and you just feel excited and passionate. Or it's a walk down to the lake that's near my house just to watch a sunset that I might not have wanted to go to, or I didn't want to get out of my house. And then, you have that moment, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I did this. What we're experiencing right now, like that first feeling of fall, where I get to start putting a coat on again. Just those little things that I try and find beauty or try and pause in the moment to enjoy the things that we almost just speed through every day.
Absolutely, absolutely. I like that you say you have these moments and you have these connections with people, and hopefully they can be your friends after the conversation. Hopefully we have the same connection, because that'd be great. You sound like a cool person to interview, and we can build our relationship on as we highlight you through the expert series.
Awesome. Yeah. Always down to make new friends.
Yeah. Another thing I saw on your Instagram account was a story of a very, very famous singer, Miley Cyrus, and you kind of threw it back to her Party in the USA days. What other music are you into? Is a lot of that pop that Miley used to sing about, or just what are your interests as far as music goes?
So I'm really all over the place. It totally depends on my mood. I would say absolute favorite of all time is Dave Matthews Band. I've seen him a few times. Incredible. I love acoustic music. I'm super hot on Lizzo. I have been for like the last 5 years. I'm going to see her tomorrow night, and I cannot wait. I love some female empowerment, but I also love acoustic music. I grew up on country music, so I like that too. Really anything that gets my mood up or has some good lyrics, I can get down to.
Absolutely. Sounds like it's a very versatile playlist that you have.
Oh, totally.
But just going off into our next segment here, if you'd like to talk about real estate, I just wanted to ask you, what motivated you to actually get into this profession?
So I'd always kind of wanted to be a realtor in high school. I mean, I watched HGTV just like the rest of us, and thought I could do that. But I was always kind of told, and I think a lot of us are told this story. You have to go to college in order to do whatever it is you want to do. And I felt like I wanted to. I mean, I had worked hard in high school and got good grades and stuff like that, so I wanted to follow that track and go to college. Excuse me. And then what I originally went to college for, found out it wasn't for me. It was a science-based career, and while I could do it, I found that what I found to be most passionate about was working with people. And so had a little quarter-life crisis, I like to say, in college, and that's kind of when I went to Spain and just continued to realize, like, my connections with people are what really drive me every day. And an easy way to stay traveling is to teach. I had a Spanish degree, and I wanted to travel, so I started teaching English as a second language. And throughout that process, it got me what I wanted. I was working closely with people. I got to travel. But at the end of the day, teaching just isn't my passion project. I'm a very passion-driven person. I have to do what I love to do in order to get out of bed every day. And so the second time I was in Madrid in 2016 to 2017, I just had like another moment where I was like, you know, I'm not necessarily loving this. I was 22 at the time, and I was like, why not try real estate? It's something I've always wanted to do, and that's what I keep coming back to, even though I'm trying to do these careers or trying to follow these paths that I should follow. Why not do what I want to do for a little bit? And I'm enough of a hustler. I always, you know, will make money. I've never been, you know, I've never fallen on my face or anything like that. So I was like, let's just take the jump. Let's do it. And I did it, and I have not looked back. It's been amazing. I've got an incredible team around me who's supporting me and helping me grow. And so, yeah, best jump I've ever taken, for sure.
You know, that's amazing. I just want to say congratulations for doing that, because it takes a lot of courage.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It can be scary, but I highly recommend it. If there's something you think you want to do it. Because I think there's nothing worse than living with that what if, you know, like if you think you might have been able to do it and then you get to be older and you're like, oh, it's too late now. But how sad. So especially, I mean, it doesn't even matter if you're young. If you feel like you want to do something, just do it.
Absolutely.
Make it work.
You know, that reminds me so much of a real estate agent from Philadelphia that we interviewed just the other day. Now, she had a similar path. She was actually coming out of university. She was a teacher. She taught for about 8 years. And then she realized that it just wasn't for her. And she got into real estate, and now she loves it. And it seems like you guys have that thing in common. So maybe you'll see each other's footage and kind of connect with that. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. I actually feel like there's a lot in common in teaching in real estate. So, and I think that's part of the reason why I love it. I am a mentor, coach, teacher personality for sure. I love helping people grow. And in real estate, there's so many opportunities for that. You can help realtors grow and help teach them the business once you've gotten your feet off the ground. But what I have found to be super rewarding thus far is I work with buyers predominantly. And half of the time, a lot of these buyers have never bought a home before. So it's a whole education process, you know, starting from how do I get funding to what does it look like, you know, for the process, all this stuff. So I find that by working with buyers, I'm helping arm them with that confidence, educating them along the way so that when they're ready to make that huge financial decision that is buying a house, they feel super confident. They're like, oh yeah, I can do this. I'm making this decision and I'm ready to go. So, and that's exactly what I love about teaching too, is you're giving kids the tools to move forward. And yeah, so there's a lot of parallels definitely between teaching and real estate, at least that I've found.
Absolutely. I think a lot of the alignment comes with the end goal. Like you're just trying to help people at the end of the day, right?
True.
Yeah. Now, you kind of talked about the buying process a little bit. One of the things that this Philadelphia real estate agent talked to us about was that her clients are her number one priority. And she kind of sees them as friends, not really clients. Would you say it's the same for you?
Oh yeah, they end up being my family because it's like, especially if somebody's on a tight timeline or even if they last 8 months. I mean, we're hanging out like a couple hours a day, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. That's more often than I see a lot of my friends, you know? And it is kind of weird though, like at the end of it, when they close, we don't hang out as much anymore. It's weird, but yeah, we do get really tight really fast. And because there is a lot of uncertainty, they do lean on us a lot. And so that helps develop that bond and that relationship. And because I want to be there for them and put them first, we really do develop, a really close relationship, which is awesome.
Yeah, and that's amazing. That's all you can really ask for at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, and I don't think I knew that even going into real estate. I don't think a lot of people know that about realtors. We're kind of a dime a dozen. I mean, you see us, everyone knows through realtors is what we say. And then there's Zillow, and you see ads for it, and you don't really think about it as a process, but it's a highly emotional, huge financial process that if you have someone that you trust on your side, it can be one of the best things. If you don't have somebody that you can trust, or if someone's out there not really helping you out, it can be scary and it can be tough. So yeah, I really think that having that passionate personality and being a caregiver personality really comes in handy with real estate, because a lot of people need someone just to like hold their hand through the process.
Definitely, definitely. Now you talked a little bit about mentorship, both receiving it and giving it. Can you tell us about maybe some mentors you've had in the past?
Yeah, so right now I've got two incredible mentors that I'm working with. They've both been in the business for significantly longer than me. When I joined real estate, I knew I wanted to be a part of a team because just like I said, I love to teach and I love being taught. I'm a very learning-based person. And I knew that getting your real estate license is not hard. There's 6 weeks, 9 weeks to class, you take a test, you get your license. Really anybody can do it if you can pass the test. And I was doing some research before I jumped in because that's my style. And I found out that something like 66% of the people who get their license drop out within the first year. And I was like, I'm not going to be that statistic. I need to find people who are going to help me, who want to teach me, because I want to, in turn, work really hard for them. So I interviewed with one woman. I was going to be her assistant, and it didn't really work out. I found this team, and immediately our executive assistant, this is the team that I'm on now, her and I clicked right away. And I didn't have any experience, and she was just like, we've got really good energy, and I want you to meet the team. And so I connected with them, and she has been an incredible mentor for me. She's not a realtor, but she's just been that energy. Like, no matter what I want to do, she's like, heck yeah, you can do it. Anything you want, just go do it. So having someone, even if it's not necessarily in your field, just like being your hype man is huge. And then Graham is our team leader, and yeah, all of the mentors that I have are just very, very selfless. I think they know that by teaching, we all get better. And so I've been very fortunate to have three really, really incredible mentors who pour into me all the time. So it's been awesome.
Absolutely. It sounds like such an uplifting group. I mean, how could you not love what you do, right?
It really is. We're like family. I mean, if things get tough, I can call them. When something good happens and I get an offer or accept it, I call them. They're cheering with me. It is a really good environment. And I wish that for everybody. I feel like I didn't know that this was possible because I was kind of unhappy in my job before. I just kind of thought working is something that you hate, that you do every day until you die. And I think a lot of people fall into that. You just do it to do it because you need the money. But I just want to tell everybody, keep searching. You can find something that you love to do, and there are going to be people who want you to succeed. And yeah, I wish everybody could be that fortunate to find that position for them.
Definitely. And I'm really glad you found that because some people do struggle with it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's unfortunate.
You don't know what's out there. You can't just, I think it's hard to take a leap of faith and just be like, now I'm going to try something new, because that's insecurity, financial insecurity, professional insecurity. You just don't know if you can succeed. And yeah, it's tough.
Definitely, definitely. Now, you talked a little bit about how you didn't want to be a statistic going into real estate. Can you tell us about some of the other goals that you kind of set out for yourself at the beginning of your career, and how much they've changed throughout it?
Sure. I'm the kind of person, I have like 10 different life plans, and if any of them work, I'm gonna be solid. One of the biggest ones is definitely I want to get into international real estate. I would love to help people purchase homes in different countries or move from the United States to either Spain or Latin America, something like that. One of my ultimate goals is to have my own property on the southern coast of Spain and either retire there or live there part-time. That goal has pretty much stayed steady, and I think that will stay there for a while. But smaller goals, like income goals and what I want to tackle this next year and how many transactions I want to do, that definitely changes all the time. One of my newest goals is I want to take on a teaching, coaching, or mentoring role in real estate in the next year, in 2020. I didn't really feel like I was qualified yet to teach because I'm relatively new. I've been in it for a few years now, but I do think you need to get some production and some just experience under your belt before you're ready to teach. And I think that, yeah, in 2020, one of my big goals is to help other people find their own success in real estate. So they definitely change as I go.
That's amazing. I feel like you kind of picked up on that from the mentorship you got. You kind of want to, just pass that down the line, it seems like.
Definitely. Yeah. Yep. I just feel like what goes around comes around, and yeah, all the good things I've been given, I'm incredibly grateful for, and I want to keep passing that on as best I can.
Exactly, exactly. And these good things that happen throughout your career, they're amazing, but I don't think any career for anybody is perfect. Of course, everyone kind of goes through their own trials and tribulations and moments of adversity. Can you kind of talk to us about these moments for you, and how you've learned from them and gone through these tough times?
Yeah, definitely. In teaching, I figured out really quickly I'm not a classroom teacher, or I wasn't a classroom teacher to small children, because I found that more often than not, kids get left behind. It's really hard to teach to a whole class because kids don't all teach or don't all learn at the same rate. And I found myself tending towards a lag or behind, and I just got so disheartened by basically the school system because, the kids who are at the top of the class aren't getting taught as much as they should get taught because, they have to be taught at the same rate as everybody else. And the kids who are learning just a little bit slower, it doesn't mean they're poor students. It doesn't mean that they can't learn. They just need a different pace. They just need a different approach. And so that's when I started taking on more tutoring, I guess. And so that was really hard for me, like just realizing that I do like teaching, but I can't do this. Like it'll break my heart every day if I keep doing this. So that was tough, and that's what kind of made me pivot in my career, which is terrifying on its own. And then when I did decide to jump into real estate, I did kind of a different role. I ended up not directly in real estate right away. Can you hear me?
Kind of. It's a little faint. It's almost gone.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect. Much better.
Okay, good. Yeah, so once I got out of teaching, I kind of hopped into a different role, kind of in the realm of real estate, and it was a small business, and it was a really cool concept of a company, and I was doing a lot, but I didn't feel like my potential, my ideas were really given much opportunity to thrive and grow. And so that was really hard because I knew I was a pivotal part of that small business, but at the same time, I couldn't give them everything I wanted to because they weren't ready to accept it, as crazy as that sounds. And so it was really hard because I really wanted to help them grow. But if you're not given the opportunity that you need to succeed, you got to move on. And so, yeah, I think definitely in my early 20s, I experienced a lot of just like career tumultuousness. And I think we all do. And I think, we all don't think anybody else does. We all think we're alone in it. And it can be really scary, but that's what finds you, or that's what gets you to your ultimate path, is everything that didn't work out along the way, and you end up where you need to be. At least that's my belief.
Absolutely. After hearing all that, it sounds like you became very self-aware and you were able to move on when you had to. I think a lot of people, they kind of stay stuck in this career path that they think is right for them. But what they've struggled to realize is that they're miserable with whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunate for sure. But now, it sounded like there was a lot of change in your early 20s and at the beginning of your career. Do you see that happening again, or do you think like this is the path for you truly?
Oh, I'm sure it'll happen again. Because like I said, I'm a discomfort addict, so I'm going to have to find a way to, ruffle my own feathers a little bit. I definitely think that there's more confusion or paths to choose to come. Like I said, I work as a buyer's agent on a team right now, and I absolutely love it. I don't see myself going anywhere anytime soon, but I do see myself eventually being a real estate coach, and that is going to have to shake up my current position, and I don't know when that's going to happen or what that looks like, and I'm thankful that I do have a very good support system who's going to help me do that, but it is going to be a tough choice if I want to get out of production and move in more of a coaching role. So it'll be tough when and if I decide to shake things up, I think.
Definitely, definitely. And it's a lot to look forward to, and it may seem strange right now, but just from speaking with you for these past 30 minutes, I think you'll be just fine. So,
Thanks. I hope so.
yeah. Now, just building off like the amounts of change that you've kind of experienced, one of the things obviously within the world today is technology, innovation, and social media. How do you think this has affected your career?
Oh, I think it's affected it hugely, especially in the last, I don't know, 2 to 5 years. Real estate has really changed in terms of technology. I'm sure you've heard of Zillow, and there's Realtor.com and all that stuff. And a lot of these websites are developing technology that are almost wanting to make us obsolete as real estate agents. I'm very fortunate to work for a company that has developed a lot of its own technology and is really on the forefront of competing with things like Zillow and developing different and new technologies. So I think it's huge to embrace technology, because if you don't, especially in this day and age, you become obsolete so quickly. So not fighting it and embracing it and learning how to use it is only gonna help. And then social media, kind of like I said before, there's a ton of realtors out there. It's like there's a lot of us. It's easy to be one, and everyone knows 3 to 5. And so using social media to help differentiate myself from other realtors in the market has been huge for me. It also really helped me build my confidence. So when I first became a realtor, I wasn't ready to like call my friends and be like, buy a house from me. I didn't feel like I knew anything yet. So some of social media for a while for me was kind of fake it so you make it. I was like, I'm telling everyone I'm a realtor. I'm telling everyone that I'm doing this. And then slowly over time, like it worked. Like people started believing it. And granted, I did learn more as I started doing more transactions and things like that. But as I made myself more visible on social media in terms of my career, I started getting DMs and things of just like, hey, I'm looking to buy a condo. Can you help? And yeah, so I mean, for me, it's been pivotal. I've done a lot of business through Instagram so far, and I hope to only continue. So I think harnessing social media can be super, super helpful. As long as I don't like sit on it all day and just like scroll through stories, because that happens really easily. No, but it's been a really good tool for business for me so far.
Absolutely. And I'm pumped that you're so enthusiastic about it and comfortable with it. Because if you weren't, we might not have been able to find you.
Right. Yeah, totally. That's true. Yeah, it's crazy. I have made so many good connections, like new friends and stuff through Instagram, specifically Instagram. And I guess I never even thought about it. Like I didn't use it the way I'm using it now, even 2 years ago. I mean, I just used it. I had, maybe 200 followers, all people that I knew. And now I'm reaching out and DMing and chatting with people I don't know. And I've made business connections. I've made personal connections. We're doing this right now. Like, it's just crazy. It makes the world just so much closer to you if you are willing to open yourself up to everything that's out there on social media.
Absolutely. And I think if this were a project that we were doing 10 years ago, I don't know how we would go about it. We'd probably still be using Facebook, which is still social media, but it's a little bit different from Instagram and Twitter and whatnot, right? So it would have been a different path, and I don't know if we would have had such similar opportunities and reaching out to people such as yourself.
Yeah, I think people, for some reason, specifically on Instagram, at least from my experience, people have been so warm and so open. I think Facebook has more of a personal connection to it, or personal connotation, like everybody from your hometown. It's more rare, I think, for you to add people that you don't know. Whereas on Instagram, like, we're looking at different hashtags, and we're following different famous people, and this just like slowly but surely has opened us up to, I don't know, being open to more new and different people who don't need to be local or don't need to actually know you personally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's actually what stuck out the most to us about yourself, is that you were very authentic within all of your posts. And that's what we want. We want people that are passionate, authentic, and true to themselves, because that's what inspires others.
Totally. And I mean, I get it too every single day, and that's kind of what's made me, or helped develop my Instagram persona, I guess, is I started following people that either I wanted to be like, that I like a lot, or I like their style, whatever it is. And I kind of watched what they were doing, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. And now, like, I'm still learning from other people too, you know? It's a cool tool.
Definitely, definitely. So we've talked quite a bit, you know, about a little bit about your personal life, quite a bit about real estate. How do you balance all this?
That's tough. Honestly, it's tough. As a real estate agent, you work 24/7. Most people can only see houses, you know, after work hours and on the weekends. So it's still something that I'm working with. I think the biggest thing I've discovered in the last few months is I never used to be a schedule person. I used to just kind of fly by the seat of my pants. And now I'm very much like, it has to be on my calendar in order for me to remember it, because I have so many different things going on. And as crazy as it sounds, I have to schedule personal life. Like, if I schedule a happy hour with a girlfriend, that is an appointment and that has to stay there. Same thing goes for a day out of town. If it's on my calendar, it's what I do. And so that's been a really big help for me, is just looking at personal time to be just as important as business, because it really is. If I only focused on business, I would burn out. So yeah, putting it on my calendar has been huge.
Mm-hmm. And that way it kind of tells you, oh, this day I have this plan. I'm going to focus just on that. And it
Yep.
really aligns all of your priorities, right?
Yep, totally. And we all share our calendars on my team too. So like, if I have a partner and if he sees that I'm out of town, you know, or I'm off on Thursday, let's say, he's not going to contact me. And same goes for him. Then we each have that time, and that space is protected, because he's not going to assume that I'm off, or, you know, that I don't want to talk on the phone or something if I haven't put it on my calendar. He just won't know. So then, and it's so easy for us all to get sucked into business, because we do want to help our clients. You know, if they have a question, we want to answer it. We want to be there for them, be there for each other. But it's really important to protect your own time and your own space so that you can have longevity in this business.
Definitely. It sounds like, well, I'm assuming that you guys are very transparent with one another, and communication is just so easy for you.
We have to be. We have to be. Otherwise, yeah, things will blow up. I mean, that sounds dramatic, but yeah, transparency is key, because we need to know where each other is at. We have to be able to meet each other where the other one is at, in order to communicate effectively, because we are on so often.
Right. Now, I kind of want to pick your brain about this. I know you have experience with teaching, and you have obviously experience with real estate. What advice would you kind of give to someone who's just wanting to start their career, specifically in real estate?
If you want to start a career in real estate, please reach out to me on Instagram. I've actually helped a couple of people start real estate classes so far, who have just like seen my posts and have been like, oh, that sounds interesting. How do I get started? Don't feel like, I think real estate can be a super solitary business. A lot of real estate agents operate solo, which is fine. If that's what you want to do, that's awesome. But I still think that the best way to be successful in this business is to find mentors, find people who are willing to spend time with you, pour into you, and help you up, and pick you up when you're down, because there are going to be down times. It is a really hard business. And if you want to get into it, yeah, just find somebody who's willing to help you every step of the way. And especially a brokerage that has a lot of training and a lot of just positive energy, because that's going to get you through those bad days, those tough days, or months where you don't make a sale. Reach out. I'm here.
Definitely. That's some great advice, because I think that mentorship can really take you a long way when you have someone that believes in you.
Right.
But at the same time, don't you think the real estate industry is a little bit cutthroat?
Oh, definitely. But, you know, the best thing I've learned so far is that, like, I work in an office with 300 agents. There's a lot of us. It is cutthroat, and I think it is a sales business. I don't consider myself very salesy. I've never been a very pushy person. I'm obviously a very feely, passionate, lovey person. And for every kind of person, there's a client that needs that. You know, some people need somebody who's going to crunch every single number with them, and it has to be the right financial decision only, and they're only going to talk about logistics and analytical things. And then there's going to be, you know, your quirkier agent who's going to buy you dinner after every showing. And some people need that kind of love and in order to feel confident in making that purchase. And so while there are a ton of us and while it is a cutthroat industry, there is space for you because every client needs a different realtor. And that's why there's not only, you know, one company or one main realtor or anything like that. That's what I love about it too, because we all have our space.
I love that you say client recognition being so important. How do you do that? How do you try to understand them on a deeper level? Do you kind of, you know, take them out for lunch, or what's your strategy behind it?
I think one thing I have always been is an empath, and I find that just being around people, I kind of absorb their energy really easily. And so I'm a huge question asker. I always have been. I don't tend, first dates, anything, like I don't tend to talk about myself very much because I'm so interested in what makes people tick. And I think that comes out in my client contact because, yeah, I want to know about, like, what you think about this kitchen, but at the same time, like, oh, does your daughter like to cook with you? How's that going to work here? And so I'm just like consistently asking questions and finding out those personal things about people that really do transition or translate into their personal life and how they're going to use this house and how they're going to feel in this house. And yeah.
It sounds like you have just an ongoing curiosity.
What?
It sounds like you just have like an ongoing curiosity with you know, anyone that you interact with.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, and I find that to be true in travel too. Like every time I feel like I learn something, I also learn that there's 3 other things I don't know yet. And it's my favorite thing about meeting new people, traveling, learning new cultures. It's like, it makes you feel small in the best way because there's always more to learn. I love it.
Definitely. I think traveling can sometimes be a humbling experience for a lot of people.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it definitely gives you perspective because I've been to the Middle East and seen just all different kinds of ways of life. And it really puts into perspective that your problems or your day-to-day is almost, it doesn't matter in the whole scheme of things, but it makes you, like I said, makes you feel small in the best way because so many other people have so much other stuff going on that me dropping my coffee is nothing compared to someone not being able to go home or, you know, go back to their home country or anything like that. And I'm always on the hunt just to gain more perspective. And I wish it's something everybody had the opportunity to do because it really, really does humble you, kind of puts you in your place a bit. Definitely.
Now, besides Madrid, obviously, what are your other favorite places to travel to?
So I went to Jordan. That was a bucket list trip of mine, and it changed my life. It was absolutely amazing. The hospitality was like nothing I've ever experienced. I obviously have a soft spot in my heart for Spain. Germany was super fun. I think I can go anywhere and have a good time. I really like it. Yeah. Yeah. Thailand is next on my list though. I need to get around some elephants for sure.
Now, how do you you know, pick these spots? Do you kind of just like do the classic spin the globe and whatever you click on is where you go next, or?
So how it happened in college was, where can I find a cheap flight? When I was in Spain the second time, that was kind of a little bit of a soul searching trip for me, and Jordan was number 1 on my bucket list. It always has been, Petra specifically. And there's a Facebook page called Girls Love Travel. And when I joined it, there was like 5,000 people. There's something like 500,000 women in it now, which is crazy. But it's just like different people sharing their experiences, and same thing goes for Instagram. Like I'll see different photos and different experiences from different people. I'll just kind of like put it in my back pocket and be like, oh, I might want to go there one day. And if I see a good flight, or if I see, you know, a group going there that I want to be a part of, I'll just hop on it. I'm kind of impulsive when it comes to those kind of things. So like I have been thinking about it for a bit, but then I just see this one thing and I'm like, all right, we're going. Buy the flight.
Yeah. And
it's not really pre-planned.
Right. You say impulsive, but it just sounds spontaneous and fun, honestly.
Spontaneous. That's a good, yeah, more than impulsive.
Yeah. So you've talked about these places that you'd love to travel to as well as your hometown in Wisconsin. and a little bit about Minneapolis. But I really want to figure out what is it that you love so much about Minneapolis. Can you tell us about, some of the hidden gems, your favorite restaurants, your favorite bars, even anything?
I love Minneapolis because, like I said, it's a medium-sized city. There's so much green space in the city. Like, there's multiple lakes. There's downtown. If you want to go to Parlor Bar and get the best Manhattan you've ever had, highly recommend it. Again, hit me up if you need restaurant recommendations because I got you for days. I also I love the Midwest in general. Like, I love seasons, and I love that it gets super hot here. And like I said, I love that first day when you get to put a coat on. And I think what keeps me here is also people are super, super nice overall. And yeah, it just feels like kind of a home away from my original home. And yeah, there's not much I don't like about it, to be honest with you, except for the cold.
Right, right. Which, it's fine on some days, but you just got to get through it.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's such a perfect fit for you. Even the amount of change within the seasons. You talk about how, you're addicted to being uncomfortable. Now, that's what happens with change, right? You get more and more uncomfortable, and then it actually turns into comfort in its own right. So
yeah,
it sounds like you found a really good fit.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think I'm here for a while, which is kind of crazy because I was a nomad for a while. So feeling like I'm ready to stay somewhere was a huge choice, but it feels really good. No regrets whatsoever.
Absolutely. It's a big leap, but it sounds like, you'll be just fine again. Now, what are kind of like the different attitudes with the neighborhoods in Minneapolis?
Different attitudes. So Minneapolis and St. Paul, it's called the Twin Cities. So there's two cities right next to each other. They are totally different. Like, they're like opposite sisters. And usually you choose one or the other. Like, I'm a Minneapolis girl for days. St. Paul's a little bit quieter. Minneapolis is known for just being a little bit more lively. Northeast Minneapolis is known for being a little bit more hipster. Maybe your late 20s. There's a lot of, breweries and things like that. South Minneapolis is very residential. It's a great place to raise a family. It's kind of like your suburb in the city. Uptown, which is the neighborhood that I live and work in, is known for people like young professionals, fresh out of college, 20s. It's definitely buzzing. There's a lot of food and fun, and the lakes are here. And yeah, they're all each pocket has its own little flavor, and that's what's fun about it. And that's actually why I like real estate too, is because I get to experience new parts of town kind of all the time.
Definitely. It sounds really versatile.
What's that?
It sounds really versatile.
Yeah, totally.
Now, if it was someone like me, someone with, I'd say, an open mind that, wanted to visit Minneapolis for a day, and I had, just like 12 hours there, what would you recommend I do?
I would recommend you go to Minnehaha Falls and go for a walk around there. There's also almost like a concession stand. It's called Sea Salt Eatery right there, and they have some amazing seafood. I would recommend you go to the Sculpture Garden and walk around. There's some great views of downtown from there, and definitely go over the Stone Arch Bridge. I think that'll probably get you to 12 hours. And I can tell you some restaurants along the way as you're going too.
Absolutely. I'd be really pumped to go there. But now, you said that there aren't a lot of things that you don't like about Minneapolis, but I'm sure there's a couple of things. Can you share a couple with us?
Well, last winter, my car literally got frozen to the ground. So that, it gets to be -50 or -60 here. That's probably the worst thing. But also, on the flip side of that coin, I kind of like extreme weather like that because it forces you to slow down. Like, showings had to be canceled. I had to just sit for a bit. And so that was good. What else don't I like? That's tough. I try not to dwell on that. I don't know.
Well, we'll stay away from it then, because it really does sound like you love your city. So
Yeah.
now, if you were in charge for a day, say you're the mayor of Minneapolis, what would you do?
Ooh, that's a good question. Oh man, I don't know. I thought that question was kind of like if I was in charge of my business or something like that. What would I do? I would just say everyone have a day off. Let's go spend a day at the lake, like required lake day. Yep, that's it.